Your grammar checker won't catch these mistakes, but your reader will. Let's take a look at what they are. So, spell check is great. Grammarly is even better. But if you think those tools are catching everything, think again. Grammar checkers are designed to catch obvious slip-ups, including misspelled words, missing punctuation, and some awkward phrasing. But they can't replace a trained eye or a deep understanding of how language works. In fact, some of the most distracting, credibility-killing mistakes in your writing will still pass right through even the most advanced grammar checker. And what's making it even worse is that Grammarly is now taking glaring errors and putting them in a different category. Like if you have "you're going to the store" and you spelled it Y-O-U-R instead of Y-O-U apostrophe R-E, Grammarly is highlighting that in yellow and then telling you that you need to buy the advanced version before it fixes that glaring grammar mistake. And a lot of them are doing this. They're changing glaring mistakes from the red category to a different category and then telling you that you need to buy. I'm catching it all the time, especially on stuff that I put into my website where I can literally see the mistake, and when I go to click on it and correct it quickly with Grammarly, it'll be highlighted yellow and then it'll say, "Advanced feature, please buy me." No, buddy, that's a glaring error and you know it, and you're trying to gimme grab for money. That's not right. And a lot of them are doing that, which is making these grammar checkers even less reliable than they were. So you really need to pay attention to what's going on in your grammar checker. I now check with Grammarly, and I also now use Scribber. S-C-R-I-B-B-E-R. Scribber uses Quillbot, which is an AI. It's better and worse than Grammarly. You kind of need both of them to make sure you get everything. But anyway, all right. And another one is, Grammarly doing word confusion problems. There, and there, right? There, apostrophe R-E, there, E-I-R, or there, E-R-E, right? So here's some common real-world mix-ups that grammar checkers miss. They're going to the store later. Okay, it's supposed to be there, T-H-E-Y, apostrophe R-E. They are going to the store later. And here's the one I was just talking about. You're the best friend I've ever had. Should be your, U-R, Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. You're the best friend I ever had. He gave me a nice compliment on my outfit. Compliment with an E. It should be compliment with an I. He is complimenting me. I am the I. Or I am complimenting him. I, him. If something goes together, it's going to be compliment with an E. Like my water flavoring complements my water. It also turns it red. So that's how I was taught to differentiate between the two. If you are receiving a compliment or you are giving the compliment, then it's an I, because I is the one doing it, right? If it's anything else, it's probably an E. Or any other version of compliment is probably an E. Like, that color really complements the room. You are complimenting the room, but it is not a person. So, it should be compliments. The weather will effect your plans. E-F-F-E-C-T. I get this one wrong all the time. should be affect, because the weather is going to affect your plans. And here we go. The effect was immediate. Should be effect with an E. I mix those up all the time too. Grammarly sometimes catches that. Why does this matter? Even though these sentences are technically spelled correctly, they're wrong because they're using the wrong word. And part of that is because when you say something, it all sounds the same. It's his car. It's rolling down the sidewalk. They sound the same, right? I am giving you a compliment. That color really complements the room. Or my water flavoring complements my water. When you're speaking, these all sound the same. She's over there. They're going to the store. It all sounds the same when you're speaking it. So you have to be aware of that. And your grammar checker may not catch it. So how do you fix it? Well, you slow down during your edits and read for meaning, not just spelling. Don't just skim over it if you see a word like that. And if you notice that you've used a lot of the same word wrong, let's say you've noticed you got a real problem, type in Y-O-U-R when you mean Y-O-U''re. You can find it. Find all the instances of your. Then you can go through your manuscript quickly, checking to make sure that the your is used correctly. I do that sometimes too. So what about missed apostrophes? Do these grammar checkers catch all the missed apostrophes? No. And two of the most common offenders are its, I-T-S, versus its, I-T''S. Its, I-T''S is a shortened form of it is. So its is a contraction for it is or it has. Example, it's going to be a long night. It is going to be a long night. Its can also be possessive. I-T-S is possessive, showing ownership. The dog wagged its tail. The tail belongs to the dog. And here's a mistake for you. The company updated its website last week. The company didn't update it is website last week. It updated the website that it owns. Its, I-T-S. And grammar checkers rarely flag this stuff. They miss it all the time. So I always say, run your spell check, run it through Grammarly, run it through one other checker, whether it's Quillbot or Scribber or whatever, run it through one more checker. And then do your audiobook yourself. And by the time you get done with your audiobook, you should have something like 4 to 10 errors in the entire book. And we're talking about 60 to 80,000 words. And that's pretty good for an independently published author. I would expect better from a trad pub, because those guys are actually getting paid to edit. I mean, the author is getting paid by book sales, but nobody's paying them $5,000 up front to edit the book. So, all right, so what about plural versus possessive apostrophes? The dogs. Well, if you're talking about the dogs, D-O-G-S, you're talking about more than one dog. There's more than one dog out there. The dogs are barking at the fence. More than one dog is barking at the fence. Now, if you're talking about the dog's leash, that gets an apostrophe S. You're talking about one dog's leash. Now, if you're talking about the dog's leash, S apostrophe, the dog's leashes, that's more than one dog wearing a leash. Now, what's wrong? Well, all the students handed in their homework. All assumes many, but students assumes one. You don't need an apostrophe here. all the students handed in their homework. This doesn't need to show possession because this does, right? So why does it matter? Misused apostrophes are one of the first things readers and editors notice. They're small, but they stand out and they send a message that the writing wasn't carefully reviewed, right? I was reading a trad pub one time, and the spelling error was so bad that you didn't even know what the word was. It was like, it was just jumbled. Like, you know how you just cat stomping on a keyboard? That was the word. But anyway. And nobody caught it. I mean, this was a book I picked up out of the library. Nobody caught it. So, during a revision, search for every apostrophe in your draft and decide whether it's a correction, a possessive, or a plural word. And let me show you how to do that. So, it can be hard to search for apostrophes in your work, especially if you've got them like this, right? So you need to get an apostrophe like that. Well, not like that. Like that. And then select it, copy it, and paste it. Because otherwise, it's going to be a flat apostrophe that the document thinks you're using. It'll say you don't have any. So if you're using the fancy apostrophes, you need to find all of them, and then hit find all, and then start going through them. So right here it says, I'm looking to see if that year is correct. It is. All right, so whoops, of course the minute you touch it. All right, so here we go. This is a work of fiction. Names, characters, business events, and incidents are the products of the author's imagination. That would be my imagination. I am one author. I'm the only author listed on the book, so it is my imagination. This apostrophe is correct. So then we can scroll down and see if there are any more. And these are all the books I've written. We're scrolling. Well, let's do this. If you don't have a lot of them, you may just want to go down. There's the first one, and it's correct. And I'll hit the down button again. The tiny vampire from outer space, that's Bitey. This is also correct. The tiny vampire from outer space, that is Bitey. We're saying the vampire is Bitey. This is correct. Precursor to Little Bitey, the workers at a clinic shockingly realize they're working at a vampire food facility. They are working at a vampire food facility. That is correct. And keep going down your book looking for it. That's right, folks. Sometimes you have to look manually. But finding all the apostrophes like this is much faster than trying to skim. How many words is this? 30,000 words. I can't believe that's only 30,000 words. Well, anyway, it's still faster than skimming 30,000 words. All right, let's go back to what I was doing. So what about comma splices and run-ons? Well, just what is a comma splice? A comma splice happens when two complete sentences, independent clauses, are joined by a comma without a coordinating conjunction. Example, she finished the draft, he started editing it. This is a comma splice and it is wrong. The fix is she finished the draft, comma, and he started editing it. This is correct. Or you can make it 2 sentences. She finished the draft. He started editing it. Or you can use a semicolon. She finished the draft. He started editing it. Semicolon connecting the two. Personally, I would probably choose option 1. But any of those 3 are correct. Just depends on what you feel like using or what makes sense for your book. The next problem is usually a run-on sentence. What is a run-on sentence? A run-on is 2 or more independent clauses stuck together without any punctuation or any conjugation. So, I love writing, it clears my head. There's nothing here. But these are 2 completely independent thoughts. The fix is, I love writing because it clears my head. Or, I love writing, period, it clears my head. Right? You have to have something, because otherwise you have 2 complete sentences. I love writing, period, it clears my head, period. But, again, all right. Why do grammar checkers miss it? If the sentence has correct spelling and a comma, software often assumes it's fine, especially if it mimics natural speech. But readers pick up on the awkwardness even if they can't name the rule. Read your work aloud. This is why I say, make your final edit while you're doing your audiobook. And you're like, Stacey, but I don't do an audiobook. Buy a microphone. And do your audiobook. And you might be wondering, why am I saying to buy a microphone and do the audiobook? Why can't you just read it out loud? Well, here's the deal. Me personally, I think reading a book out loud, unless I'm doing something else at the same time, is a complete waste of time. So if I'm going to read a book out loud to edit it, I'm going to do the audiobook at the same time. The only other time you'll ever hear me read something out loud is if I'm making a video. Other than that, reading something out loud for the hell of it, I'm never going to do it. And even if I started, I'm never going to finish. So the one way to make sure that you finish reading your book out loud so that you can edit it is by doing the audiobook at the same time. There's my handy little trick for reading things out loud. It's kind of like the same reason why I bike or walk to the store. I don't like doing exercise for the sake of it, okay? You're not typically going to catch me running 10 miles because that sounds like fun, okay? I need to be doing something. So if I'm riding my bike, the productive thing is to go to the store, right? I don't want to ride my bike for the hell of it. I want to be doing something at the same time. So by riding my bike to the store, I am getting my exercise and I'm going to the store. By reading my book out loud, I am reading my book out loud to edit it, and I'm also getting the audiobook done. Makes sense to me. All right, so watch for independent clauses joined by only commas or nothing at all. And then use conjunctions, punctuation, or sentence breaks to make that stuff correct. So what about weak word choices that aren't technically wrong? So here's a tricky part, your sentence might be grammatically correct, but it's still terrible. Grammar checkers won't flag weak, vague, or overused words because they're not wrong. But readers, your reader's gonna know. And the one I'm running into right now, I'm having an AI bot help me with a book. And I mentioned this, I think, in another video, but it's overusing the words padded and hoodie. How did I catch those? Well, if there are 2 words that I absolutely cannot freaking stand, it's padded and hoodie. Okay? The other words that I can't stand are juice and moist. One of those in a book is too much. So, you have to be cognizant of what you're overusing. For me, a couple years ago, I was just getting my author flow going, and I didn't quite know how to move from scene to scene. So I would say a moment later, a moment later, a moment later. When I got to the end of the book, into the final edit, I had to go into the find function and put in a moment later. And then I deleted it. Just deleted probably 90% of them. I think I left like 3 or 4. But you need to do that too, is find your overused words and get rid of them. And it doesn't have to be very or a lot or all those ly words. It just has to be, you may have something that has nothing to do with an ly word. One book, I deleted, I think, 500 instances of the word well, W-E-L-L, well. Well, I think, and that was how it always was in the whole book. Well, what we should really do, well, I think, well, after giving it some thought. Anyway, watch out for that stuff. So anyway, common weak words that pass unnoticed. Very, really, just, quite, a bit, somewhat. Got, did, went, made, had, was, is. Or sometimes I'll do make or went, or what was the other one? I don't remember. Anyway, so let's move on. So here we go. She was very tired after the trip. There's nothing wrong with that sentence. Okay? And if you didn't do that a lot, you can probably keep it. But more descriptively, she collapsed onto the bed, drained from the trip. Or the minute she got to her hotel room, she felt the jet lag. All right. So let's see. Here we go. He did a great job on the project. This is nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with this. He nailed the project from start to finish. Or aced it. He aced the project. He got a promotion because he did so well on that project. So, check out your weak words and see if they're all right or maybe they're not all right. You can have some for flow and clarity and diversity. Diversity is becoming a dirty word these days. But you don't want to always use the same words all the time. She walked to the car. She walked inside. She walked up the stairs. Use a different verb sometimes. So why do grammar checkers miss it? Most grammar tools don't understand tone, context, or impact. As long as the sentence is structurally sound, the checker sees nothing wrong, even if your reader is bored to tears. It's not the emotional jarring of your book. It's that it's so boring. Your reader's either going to take a nap or leak out of their eyes. So how to fix it? Highlight every instance of very, just, or really in your draft and challenge yourself to replace it or delete it. The find and replace, just the find function. On some of this, you don't want to find and delete. You don't want to find and use another word to replace it. Because if you have 10,000 instances of the word very, and you say a lot, you'll now have 10,000 instances of the phrase a lot. So you need to evaluate each instance separately. So what about sentence structure and repetition? Well, here's the deal. Even if your grammar is perfect, if every sentence is the same length or started the same way or ends the same way or has the same number of syllables, you're going to bore your reader. So, what does repetitive structure look like? She grabbed her coat, she opened the door, she stepped outside. What you really need to say is, She grabbed her coat, opened the door, and stepped outside. Or if you really like three separate sentences, she grabbed her coat, here, try that again. Sarah grabbed her coat, she opened the door, and stepped outside. There are lots of ways to do this without three instances of the word she. So if you do this a lot, it ends up predictable, monotonous, and either choppy or overly sympathetic, or simplistic. Sympathetic. Overly simplistic. And grammar checkers miss it because there's nothing wrong with those three sentences. Okay? See Dick run. See Jane run. See Jane and Dick run. That's what you're writing. So unless you're writing a picture book for young children, don't do this. So here's the deal. Don't rely on software alone. It will hurt your writing. Grammar checkers are powerful tools. They catch typos, flag obvious errors, and save time, but they're just tools, and they don't have the ability, I don't care how smart AI gets, to extrapolate information or understand intricacies. Okay? You need to read it and change it. Or don't change it if it's right. Because software can't detect context-based mistakes like word confusion or missed apostrophes. It doesn't recognize when sentence structure is repetitive or weak. It doesn't understand tone or style preferences. I had this come up. I was having the AI check a sentence, and I used the word final, as in he finaled the vampire. AI flagged it as wrong. It's correct. Because you don't just kill a vampire. You have to final it. Because if you just kill a vampire, it might come back. You ended it for that moment in time. If you ever want a good example of that, watch the Hammer Horror Vampires with Christopher Lee. And Christopher Lee is always brought back after like every vampire episode, whether they stake him or burn him or whatever. He even comes back from ash. So you can't just kill your vampire. You have to final it. And AI said that's a mistake. It's not. And then catch every punctuation nuance. Software can't do that. Like comma splices in natural speech. And here's where you get away with some of the bad punctuation. You get away with it in dialogue because people don't speak incorrect sentence or incomplete sentences. They don't even sometimes pause between sentences. I went to the store. I went to the park. Right? I've heard people say that. Now, I would say I went to the store and park. I went to the store in park. I didn't say and, I said N. Right? Be careful with that though. You don't want to confuse your reader with textual vocalizations. You could get away kind of with gonna, wanna, shoulda, coulda, woulda. And you'd probably be able to get away with the single N. But beyond that, you got to be careful. You want your readers to be able to read the work. So what's the best approach? Use grammar checkers to check for a first pass, but always follow up with a careful self-editing. In other words, after your grammar checker checks it, read it again. So basically, grammar checkers are valuable helpers, but they aren't perfect. Many subtle mistakes slip through from word misuse to punctuation errors to flat, repetitive prose. The best writers combine these tools with their own careful reading, editing, and understanding of language. When you go beyond the software, your writing becomes clearer, stronger, and truly your own. Always, folks, use the tools in conjunction with your best efforts to edit. And if your best efforts to edit suck, and you know it, and you have the money, hire an editor. Okay? But only if you suck and you have the money. Because if you spend enough time editing, you'll eventually get it. It just may take you longer. So instead of spending 2 or 3 days editing your manuscript, you might spend 2 or 3 months on it. An editor can do it faster. But remember, every time you edit your work, you're going to get better and you're going to get faster. Anyway, folks, that's the end of this article. I hope you liked the article. If you feel like donating to the channel, there's a GoFundMe and Buy Me a Coffee, links in the description, or you can donate directly through YouTube. All right, folks, that's it. Have a great day. I hope you enjoyed the video.